This episode of the Kind of Funny Gamescast is brought to you by the Dollar Shave Club. Guys, you don't need to choose between price and quality to get an amazing and affordable shave. DollarShaveClub.com is the answer. To prove how amazing their shave really is, right now they're going to give you your first month free to join the club. DollarShaveClub.com delivers amazing razors right to your door for a third of the price of what the greedy razor corporations charge. Join the club just like I did earlier and stop dealing with the drugstore hassle and battle locked up Razor Fortress ever again. I've been using them. I've been liking them. They've been keeping me clean for packs. Just go to Dollar Shave Club and pick a razor from their lineup of amazing blades. I have tried the executive blade with their Dr. Carver's shave butter. The blade just gently glides for the smoothest shave ever. See why over 3 million members like me love Dollar Shave Club. They're so confident in the quality of all their products that now you can get your first month of the club for free. Just pay the shipping. After that, it's just a few bucks a month. No long-term commitment. So, you know, if you're one of those people that are scared like Nick, it's okay. No hidden fees. Go to dollarshaveclub.com/gamescast. That's dollarshaveclub.com/gamescast. Ladies and gentlemen, topic 4, as always, brought to you by Steven Insler.
Hey!
He is the man, the myth, the legend, but it's also brought to you by you. You can go to kindoffunny.com/Gamescast topic to leave your topic, just like all these big, beautiful kids did. Tiago Ferreira says, name me a AAA game with a great single-player campaign from this generation that isn't open world or multiplayer focused. If it came out last gen, it doesn't count. Obviously, I know about Uncharted 4.
I mean, let me just look at my trophies.
A great single-player game.
Single-player game.
That isn't...
Wait, so I need to understand the parameters. He's saying that it can't have multiplayer?
I think it's, he said multiplayer focused. So that's where it gets complicated, because obviously Call of Duty is multiplayer focused, but I guess what he's asking is what's the last great Call of Duty like that is known for its campaign? You know, because those games
so what's a great game, single-player?
Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, that's like, yeah. Well, even that's kind of open, right? Because you can go to whatever planet you want at some point.
So he's talking about a linear experience.
Until Dawn.
Until Dawn's a good one.
Yeah, yeah.
Quantum Break.
Yeah, Quantum Break's good. Quantum Break's a good thing.
Rise of the Tomb Raider.
No, because there's open world stuff to that, right? You open up into those areas and you can
run
around.
But Uncharted 4 has open world
Doom.
stuff. I think that what he's saying that qualifies.
Okay,
right?
just making sure. I'm just trying to be clear and poke holes in this. I'm the
Witcher 3 is open world,
obviously,
right?
Yeah.
That's a single player
Fallout,
campaign, but
open world.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, Doom I would definitely put on that list.
Doom's a good example of it.
Wolfenstein: The Old Blood. God, I do play a lot of open world games.
Evil Within?
Evil Within could be, but I didn't play enough of it to have an opinion on it. Man, I do play a lot of open world games. Stop texting me. Let's see. Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Open world's a big thing now.
My God, I played a lot of games though. Wow. Yeah. Okay.
I feel like that's quite a list though. And if you're talking about, if you add Nintendo to that, I'd say there's a whole bunch of them. But Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker was great. Mario 3D World. Yeah.
But it is an interesting thing. Like, yeah, shit, fuck.
He's a good
all open world.
Yeah, I was going to say
everywhere.
point taken.
Yeah.
Point taken.
There's no, where's my Dark Void? I need another Dark Void.
Jesus God, I remember that game.
Chuck leaves us with a good one.
Chuck.
Hey, kind of funny. Recently, Xbox has been releasing full game trials for weekends where the entire game is free and then afterwards it's on sale. They recently released WWE 2K16 for a free weekend, and I played it and enjoyed it. I hadn't played a wrestling game in years, and when the game went on sale, I bought it for $30. Now, a month later, the game is going to be free to gold members, which I am one. Am I just being salty, or doesn't it seem a bit disingenuous to offer a sale and then give it away for free so soon after? You guys are always worth $1. Chuck.
Aww.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean...
I can understand you being upset about it, but I also think this is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Colin, because I guess we don't know, but it would not surprise me if the two hands there in motion didn't know what the other people were doing. Mm-hmm. I know how some organizations are run and it is broken up. This is similar, but I don't think it was like twirling their mustache. We're gonna get these fucking people.
Yeah, it's possible that's true, and I think that people always have to look at the other side. That like these guys aren't really, they're out to make money. This is an altruistic adventure for these. The altruistic venture for these guys, but to Greg's point, I don't think that's really a good look for them. So I don't think that it was intentionally done. But that said, like, because people often get mad, for instance, on PS Plus when a game's free the next month and they just bought it the week before, or whatever, and I'm like, that's kind of the the roll of the dice, unfortunately. So you just have to be a choosy kind of consumer. You're gonna get fucked in that way sometimes. I really do believe that. We all have. It happens in many different ways. In many, like when we were in Washington State, alcohol is really expensive because of the taxation issue there. And I paid like an exorbitant amount of money for this bottle of booze, and then I went to CVS the next day, and the bottle of booze was like $20 cheaper, and I was like, damn it.
Yeah.
How
many times does that
happen? Like that happens. It
you
sucks.
buy a
It
shirt
sucks.
or
It
whatever,
hurts.
and you see it on sale the next week or whatever.
Yeah.
It sucks. We all get stung in that way. You just kind of have to accept it, I think, or you just have to like be really judicious. But I don't think you can avoid it. But I don't think what was done was intentional.
I also think that that's true, and it also comes down to it's up to you to kind of educate yourself to the patterns of these things. And I think that you're going to get fucked regardless, even if you know everything. But I think that the more you kind of keep up on this stuff, you can see things like that kind of happening. And there's certain games that they're going to go on sale. There's certain games that like if you hold off just a month, it's going to be cheaper. If you wait 6 months, it's going to be given away, right? So it's kind of how much do you really want to play that game? And like it sounds like you played based on a free thing and got it on sale. It still was on sale, so that sucks.
And you did do the right thing of, supporting them by giving them dollars.
The rule of thumb though is like games are always going to become cheaper over time. If you don't want to, like, you can literally wait and wait and wait, and the game's going to become very cheap. It's harder on digital ecosystems because some of these games stay at full price for a long time, and then some of them get cut precipitously in some of these flash sales. Like I'm like, I can't believe this game's like literally $3, or $5 or $10. It's easier to play that game at retail, but some developers do the right thing too. Like when Tom Happ released Axiom Verge, I think they said that the game will never be on sale in the first year, ever. And I think that probably that honesty and candor probably helped them because a lot of people weren't going to wait a year. So that could go a long ways too.
Yep, definitely. Segueing from that question, High Speed Squirrel says, do you guys have plans to do another episode with Austin Creed?
Of course.
Yeah,
we love Austin. We love up, down, down. It's one of those, how crazy his schedule is. Whenever he comes through, we'd love to have him around for more stuff.
Love that guy. Wild Blood says, praised be the lords of video games, the heralds of news, the apostles of Shuhei. Bless us with your knowledge and heed my query. Now that the time has passed, how do you feel about Konami? I find myself unable to hate them. Their legacy is too rich and wonderful, and so I find myself feeling not hate, but disappointment. How do you feel? And more importantly, do you think we'll ever see a new IP out of them again?
I mean, they're a company. I don't like them. I mean, I'm pretty clear about that. It has nothing to do with even Kojima personally. It has to do more with like the mistreatment of all of their IP. But it's not. I guess it is, but it isn't personal. I mean, they're a company. They can redeem themselves.
Hate we joke around and say hate and blah blah, but it's like it's they've done a lot of shitty things, right? I don't rep Konami in a positive light. I don't think man, they're really doing it right. Like they are kind of the garbage truck on fire in the bad way. We're the endearing garbage truck on fire. They're the one of watching like what the fuck's gonna happen next? How are you gonna handle this? What are you gonna do? Will you ever see another new IP out of them in a AAA space? I doubt it, right? Like, why? I don't see them doing that unless somebody came in and like really turned the ship in a different direction. But they do seem focused on their pachinko business and taking chances that aren't big. Like, okay, Metal Gear Survive is going to sell because it's a Metal Gear game.
Yeah.
I think the chances of seeing new IP in AAA space are almost 100%. The thing that's going to have to happen with them is someone's going to have to. He was talking about the very strong history of Konami, which it is. It's a strong company with a story. We used to put them up there with Capcom and with Square and everyone, and they're nothing like those companies now. But someone has to just take reins of you could do that company can be hostily taken over, or they can sell those IPs, or new people can become in charge that want to pay credence to that history, which the current leadership doesn't. But I don't think that they're always going to be in that position. I really don't. Like, they make money in pachinko machines and their health clubs and all that kind of stuff, and that's great, and maybe that's what they want to focus on. But if they're going to stay in the video game space, which I think they're going to, I think you're going to see a different Konami in a few years. Like I really do feel like eventually there's going to have to be this sort of understanding over there that they're going to have to do the kind of Konami restructure, the kind of Konami, like, let's go out hat in hands and explain that we understand, like, that we kind of fucked some things up. And
well, you can do that right with a change of leadership. If you bring in a CEO or president who's going to come out and be like, hey, we're not those people.
That's what Sega's doing.
Fucked up.
That's what Sega's doing right now, and it's working. I think it's working for them. I mean, not only with their acquisition of Atlas, but working on Halo Wars, having one of their studios, Creative Assembly, making Halo Wars 2 and all these kinds of things, and making a new Sonic, even though we don't care, we make fun of Sonic, but a lot of people do care. And
Tim Gettys
they're
big.
trying to turn that ship, as we were talking about it earlier. And I don't think all hope is lost with Konami. My hope is that if they're gonna just strand those IP with them, that they eventually just sell them. The Castlevania IP, the Contra IP, I mean, these are worth a lot of money.
Dance Dance Revolution IP.
Dance Dance Revolution. These IP with the right studios are worth a fortune. And especially Castlevania, out of like everything that's not Metal Gear kind of category. Like what someone would do with Castlevania, what From Software could do with Castlevania, for instance, would be. I mean, Bloodborne to me was Castlevania, and aesthetically, that was what was so fucking endearing about it to begin with. I was like, this is amazing. It looks like fucking Castlevania, you know. So I don't think all hope is lost, personally.
Bancroft97 says, "Hey guys, what video game character do you feel you relate to the most?" I don't know that I necessarily can identify one that I'm like, yeah, he's just like me trying to get by.
Sure.
Maybe the guy from No More Heroes.
Really, Johnny Touchdown. That's who you're going to connect with. Okay, I can see that, I guess. Probably Cactus Jack in a wrestling game. I understand Mick Foley. He understands me. We've both seen hard times. We've both been champions before. We've both been broken in the ring, as they say.
I get a Professor Layton vibe from Colin.
Wait, I love Layton. I was gonna say Luigi because, you know, kind of like the second guy people think about, and he doesn't really get any appreciation. But Mario wouldn't really exist without Luigi. And
I mean,
pushing him up, you know, on a pedestal.
I mean, I love
kinda
you.
taking
You know
the-
that. I totally think Greg Miller wouldn't exist with Colin Moriarty. I think Mario would be fine without Luigi. I think you could have any other motherfucker back there.
I was
It's
just
gonna be
trying to
okay.
make a joke. I was just trying to make a joke. In a serious way, I don't know. I don't know that I really relate to anyone. I don't play games to relate to the characters. If
Mad Max. You relate to Mad Max.
Mad Max, yeah, definitely. I feel like it's them being different than me that actually makes the characters worth exploring.
Getting dropped in their world and their story, yeah.
Yeah, it's the same with a book or something like that. Like I don't really, you know, or a movie. You know, people watch a sitcom or whatever and be like, oh, I see. You know, I'm like George or something like that. And I'm like, but like that's just who you want to be. That's not really who you are.
Yeah.
You know. And so I kind of look at it the same way. There are characters I really respect and love. Like I wish that I was Nathan Drake. You know, or like that I could relate to Nathan Drake, but I can't. I just like him. I just have a man crush on him. You know?
You can't crawl walls like that.
But my Luigi joke, I think, was apt. Shout out to Layton, by the way, though.
Shout out to Layton. Chancho says, "Hey there, boys and girls. We haven't seen a new company successfully enter the console space since Microsoft with the Xbox. Will we ever see a new company make a mainstream console again?"
No.
No.
Doubt it. Right? I mean, we've seen people try and succeed, I think, about as much as they could.
Ouya.
The Ouya and Steam.
That thing had failure written all over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it happens. I mean, Philips got involved. I mean, a lot of companies with money. It's so not even money and resources count. It was only Sony's want of revenge, I think, on Nintendo that even really spawned PlayStation success too. You know, like a lot of things have to go right. A lot of companies have been involved. Not a lot, but there have been companies that have been involved in consoles that just haven't panned out. Apple made a console. You know? So. I
mean, I would argue that Apple was the last one to make one since Xbox and phones. You know, like phones are a place where people play games, and there's games made for that specifically, and people are buying them for that specifically. I don't think we'll ever like Apple. For years people thought Apple was going to make a iPlay or something to that.
Put out the
extent.
controller, do this thing.
I'm sure they fucked around with it, but yeah, they
for
probably
sure.
just saw that it wasn't worth it, and I think. They don't need, you know, a company like that doesn't need to do it, but I think that like it's right time, right place, and lots of money. I think two out of three of those things are really important. Nintendo, for instance, didn't really have an exorbitant amount of money when NES came to the West. They had the right place, the right time. The test market worked. People were down on it. They loved Mario. The delay of the console. Actually, our friend Jeremy Parrish just did a video on Super Mario Brothers that was really awesome about how like the delay of the family computer to the disc system really helped them in the West because they wouldn't have launched with these games like Zelda and stuff like that that were close to launch. And Metroid, Kid Icarus. So that was a right place, right time. Not a lot of money situation, but with Sony, it was like right place and money. Timing was a little off, but they still made it work. Not releasing a console in 95 or 1994 for them was kind of weird.
Yeah.
When you think about it. So yeah, I think you just have to have this, but like there's a lot of casualties along the way from some big companies. Ouya was obviously going to fail. I'm talking more about like CDI or like the Pippin and shit like that, like where companies like with some means got involved. But I just think it's like we talk about with shooters and free to play games and MMOs and stuff. There's only so much room, and I think this place is occupied. Like by three successful competitors.
GameX173 has a fairly similar question. He says, hey guys, with a lot of indie companies creating 8-bit and 16-bit games for PSN, Steam, Nintendo eShop, and whatever the fuck the Xbox has, do you think that a company will ever take a risk and make a new 8 or 16-bit console? In addition, do you ever think Nintendo, Atari, or Sega will ever start remanufacturing their old systems again and start reprinting both classic games and new games on classic cartridges?
No to the first question, yes to the second question, or not yes. I'm surprised that they haven't done that.
At PAX there was a not Nintendo obviously, but a bunch of an indie studio there that had made an indie game and was selling it on cartridges for the NES.
Yeah, that happens. Like Pure Solar, for instance, which is an RPG that came to PS4, it's going to come to Vita and some PC and stuff, came to Genesis in 2010, and I think the Dreamcast a little later.
I was going to say, what was the Dreamcast one?
And there's a guy, I was in touch with these guys that did a bunch of Dreamcast games out of Germany when I was at IGN. I can't remember their names. Yeah, it surprises me that like when I saw the Nintendo, the thing that's coming out this fall, when I first saw it, when I was like, groggy-eyed in the morning or whatever, I was like, holy shit, they're making the NES, and that like didn't surprise me, because I was like,
so crazy. That would have surprised the hell out of me.
Because I would have been like, this is actually very intuitive. Nostalgia is everything. Why not make an NES again? Like I like, you don't have to make a million of them, but like
it's a boutique item.
It would be fucking awesome. Like I would fucking lose my mind if they were like, we're publishing 50,000 copies of Super Mario Brothers 3 on NES cartridges. We're gonna find the same innards and all that kind of stuff, reproduce them, put them in. I would to just open a new NES box again, like the old days.
That's the whole thing.
Like that would be totally. That does surprise me that they don't get involved in that.
And it's the same. It's like vinyl, right? That you could easily make a market where you are putting out special editions on cartridges. You are, making your classics available, and then inviting people who are still making those kind of games to put them there as well.
I mean, I feel like the indies, like we were talking about, they do that stuff. And like when I buy music and like I buy a modern rap album and I also get a cassette with it, like that's just the gimmicky fun of you also get a cassette. And I get that, but like for Nintendo to actually do it, I think the NES Mini is the closest thing to a realistic expectation for them.
I don't expect it, but I think the one reason that it doesn't happen is because the irony of the situation is that those components are so ancient that it would actually be super expensive for them to make it, because they would have to go and like special order this random shit.
They would also need to make it with an HDMI port and all this other stuff.
Well, they would have to, or they could remold it or whatever, do whatever they wanted. They could do the remember that the NES has component or composite out, so like they don't have to actually do that. The thing like, or they can make some sort of connector. They can make some sort of connector or whatever. That wouldn't be the least of their problems. I think that like for them to be like, we need to find a manufacturer of these like fucking ancient chips that are like 25 years past even being relevant. We have to find all these things. I think that the irony of that is that like we would think, at least at first blush when I would think about it, that would be cheap and easy money for them to make. But then I was like, no, it'd actually be probably more expensive to make the NES now than it did in 1985. But nostalgia is such a powerful thing that even if they weren't going to release the hardware, the software does surprise me. And the company that I'm surprised doesn't do this the most is Sega. Like, I think that they have nothing but banking on their old games now, like as they recuperate like who they once were. And so like to get these games out on to do a limited run of these consoles or a limited run of these games, that would be so fucking cool, man. And I think I wouldn't be surprised at all, but maybe some people would be surprised about how quickly those things would be gone.
To the first part of this question, right? Like, should they make another console that is 8 or 16-bit because all these indies are? No, because if you're an indie, you want to sell as many things as possible, as easily as possible. You want it on Steam. I mean, sure, you just want it on Steam if you could, but no, you need to get Steam and Xbox and PlayStation and get the game and proliferate it everywhere. So no, you don't want somebody else coming in and being like, cool, we're making this 8/16-bit system, and so can you help us get your game on a cartridge and troubleshoot all this stuff? Or a boutique, that's when it works in the opposite, right? Here's a boutique item that is going to have no impact or relevance. No, we don't have time for that.
Exactly. Final question of the day comes from Wet Dirt 28.
Yeah.
What's your favorite drunk sequence in a game? Thanks.
I don't even know.
I remember the first time it was like, a novelty to get drunk in GTA 4 and climb behind the car because it looked so real, and then how it really was a struggle to drive and be like, oh man, this is so weird.
Yeah. It's not so much drunk as much as it's drugged, but Yoshi and Touch Fuzzy get dizzy, the level in Yoshi's Island. That blew my mind.
Yoshi got drugged?
Yeah. There's like these little fuzzy things would fly around, and if you touched it, Yoshi's eyes would get all crossed and like he'd act drunk.
Yeah.
and on acid at the same time. Like this whole screen would
Right.
like shift, and there'd be colors everywhere, and like you'd just be like running left and right.
If it counts, then
Yoshi.
Drake getting drugged in Uncharted 3, I thought was awesome and really well done.
Yeah, that's
right?
probably that's the only sequence I can even think of. Like honestly, I'm sure there's others, but
Yeah.
it was like that ending question where I'm like, I don't know, I can think of a bunch of endings, I guess, but this one was like I can't even think of more than one drunk sequence. There must have been more than that.
I remember Monster Hunter, you could get drunk, I believe, on the grog in the inn or whatever and come out.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been episode 85 of the Kind of Funny Games cast. Thank you very much for everything. Kevin's over there. All he wants is a fan on him. I appreciate that.
Can we
Thank you very
finally
much
agree
for
we
watching.
need AC in this room?
I
Get
love
the
you.
AC thing? Why not?
This is gonna last
It's
2
a
weeks.
nightmare. It's always going to be hot in here. It's been hot in here this whole time. This thing. All it's heat.